My father used to beat my mother. My little sister Lisa and I remember it well because we weren't happy when he came home late from the bar. And also because we celebrated his death the year I turned 12 by going to the restaurant. Mother never really talked about father. In fact, she only called him Mr. Butcher. I didn't know what she meant by that at the time. Dear viewers, it's been a week since my mother died, and I will not go to the restaurant to celebrate. But Mr. Jones has exceptionally authorized me to suspend the TV program for a few moments to do my one and only special edition instead of the usual Sunday program rerun. Donna, Mother, from where you are, I hope you'll laugh at the fact that I'm telling this story to thousands of spectators. My mother used to tell us stories to distract us from our bad habits. For example, she made sure we were nice to her because she constantly reminded us that being naughty made you lose your hair, and said that's why Mr. Butcher didn't have any hair left on his head. We were terrified, but her little techniques worked, as we stayed quiet out of fear of losing our hair faster than we expected. The story I'm going to tell you tonight is a special one because it's taught me many lessons about life, and every time I get angry, I think back to what my mom used to tell me. Once upon a time, there was a little boy called Henry, who after being born screamed like all babies do. Later, as all children do, Henry hated having to go to school in the morning. He hated having to eat peas at dinner, and he hated having to go back to school after recess. Everything normal. Only 1 year his classmates made fun of him, and Henry felt alone. And never again did Henry hate the things kids hate. No, Henry started to hate people. Growing up and leaving school didn't change anything. He hated people who loved sunsets. He thought they were stupid to marvel at something that happens every day. He hated students who come to see their professors at the end of lectures because he thought they did too much. He hated people who only went to the pool to sunbathe. He thought they'd be better off staying in their garden. The more the years went by, the more he hated people, and soon there was no foundation for anything. He hated tea drinkers, children who only played with stuffed toys and not rattles, music lovers, pilots, people who wear their watches on their right wrists, people who smoke while playing cards, architects, people who visit old monuments, people who visit modern cities, drivers of three-wheeled vehicles, traffic policemen, car drivers, pedestrian, and so on. In fact, anything he could hate, he did, and he always found every reason in the world to hate. In this part of the story, to add a little bit of nuance, my mother would have added with a little smile, the story doesn't say, but it's possible he even hated himself. And then we'd get back to the story, which took a less comic turn. Henry got ill. No way of knowing what it was. In fact, there seemed to be nothing wrong with him. But he just couldn't stop complaining. He was in so much pain that the doctors had to put him to bed. And as a nurse approached him, ready to give him an injection to reduce his pain, Henry cried out, "No, I hate needles." The nurse proceeded to inject him anyway, and then Henry exploded. Legend has it that he exploded out of rage. Mom used to say, "See what happens to you kids if you only concentrate on what you dislike?" And of course, the first time I've heard this story, I was probably 7 years old. I didn't conclude that we should be careful about how much hate we decide to pass on to the world. What I did understand was that needles make people explode. Today I'd like to thank my mother for having invented far-fetched stories to teach us how to live together. My dear spectators, that's all for tonight. At a time like ours, I think it's very important to remember that hate can be deadly. If it doesn't destroy you slowly, it's probably going to hurt those around you when you explode. I wish everyone a pleasant evening as this special edition draws to a close.